This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to #Ad by Penji. This is the podcast where we discuss everything influencer marketing related. We talk tips to help assist you in your influencer journey, and we also do so much more. Today, we have a very special guest. His name is Marty Englander. Hi, Marty. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's influencer coordinator. And today we're going to delve into many interesting topics about short form videos, um, content creation for businesses, and many more with Marty. So, Marty, before we get started, for anybody listening or watching this that doesn't know you or about what you do and who you are, could you give us a quick intro about you, what your platform is about, and everything that you do?
Sure. So I'm a bit of a digital nomad. For years now, I create niche YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and all of these short form video platforms. I utilize free traffic to send people to things like affiliate offers, my own business, any leads or projects or campaigns I'm currently working on. But ultimately, I just simplify things that a lot of business owners are quite intimidated about, usually because of the overwhelming amount of mismatched information online that says you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I'm just like, I sit from my home office with my little webcam and I'm able to get hundreds of thousands of views every month. So yeah, I just simplify stuff online. I create little offers, and I utilize a lot of free traffic, a lot of free traffic.
A lot of free traffic. So, when you refer to free traffic, can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean, or how you utilize that for yourself?
Sure. So free traffic is eyeballs. So right now, you post a video, let's say on YouTube, or you post something on social media, and your friends or your family or your connections will all see that post. And that's basically what I mean by free traffic. It's utilizing platforms like social media to send um, people to where you want them to go. So the way I utilize it, well, I do lots of different things. Ultimately, I create offers or things that I think people are really interested in. So at the moment, I started going heavy into automation. So I thought, how can a business utilize automation? So I created some automation bots. I created a website, didn't spend much time in the website because it's more important to get a really focused message rather than a really fancy everything else. Make the message important and then work on the design. If the message isn't good, then no design is going to be able to do anything for the audience to get those sales. And then I create little videos that have a really strong message or a lot of clarity into the pain point of the audience or the target market. And I post it onto a free platform like TikTok or YouTube or, Facebook Reels or whatever. And from that point, just drive them to where I want them to go, hence leading someone from A to B.
From A to B. Yeah, and I think like utilizing social media like that, or platforms in that way right now is a very big thing for companies. And I think there's a big struggle with smaller business owners or people who are just starting out as to how they can do that. Um, and I know that your channel focuses a lot on the growth of the social media of a small business owner. What I want to know is what can you do for a person who is just starting a business to advise them with all of this and how they can actually have a, I would say, lucrative social media presence. I think a lot of our listeners really don't know what to do when it
Mm,
comes to handling the social media for their own businesses.
sure. It's actually a really good question, this, because one of the latest things that I've been doing for businesses is channel reviews or a channel audit, similar to like a website audit. But you send me your channel and I'll go through it and actually create a personalized video on how you can improve it. And because I've done so many of those recently, I actually know exactly where nearly every single business falls down or, basically destroys any chance of growth just because they don't put in these foundations. And that's what I'm quite good at. I'm actually really good at pulling in foundations of stuff. There's no point growing on quicksand. So I'll give you these steps. So the first thing is I'm going to quote Gordon Ramsay when he goes into a kitchen or a restaurant and he tries to show them how to do everything. He says to that restaurant, "What is one dish you want to be known for?" Just one single dish. That doesn't mean that's going to be the only dish on the menu. That just means, what is that one dish that's going to entice people to come to your restaurant so they can, you know, th- that hook, that thing that's going to bring them in, and then you can show them the rest of the menu. And this is where businesses actually fall down. Because they've got so many services to offer, they try to shove all of those services into the prospect's face by posting all about them on social media. But the problem is, I recently just did a review on a dating and someone who's a dating coach, and his target market, he said to me, was 25 to 45-year-old men. But his list of services was dating and then how to have a healthy relationship. But I said to him, well, you're trying to target a really large different group of audiences, because the average 25-year-old male does not talk like the average 45-year-old male.
Yeah.
In fact, the average 45-year-old male might have had a relationship, might be fed up with women or guys, might be fed up with, yeah, might have too much, don't have enough time because they've got children and stuff like that. So the messages that you convey on social media is needs to be attached to a very, very focused audience before you, instead of trying to cast a net out and grab everyone and anything. So, and then it's also, well, people who are looking for dates, they don't, whilst they probably will want a healthy relationship, they're not at that stage yet to have a healthy relationship because they're still looking for a date. So
Sure.
what happens is you start posting things about how to have a relationship and how to get a date or how to get a healthy relationship, and you put all of those things in one channel. You're going to be bringing in lots of different audience types, and as they scroll on your feed, what's going to happen is the initial video that brought them in, they're going to be like, oh, that was really good. They scroll up and they're like, oh, what's this video about? Oh, no, there's a disconnect there because it's not what they originally came to the channel for. So what you want to do is, first of all, don't buy a really expensive camera. Don't buy a really expensive microphone. Decide what your channel is going to be about. So if you are a graphic designer, instead of posting all things graphic design, you niche down on that and you start talking about how to bring your, let's say, your designs to life. For example, in graphic design, it's the fine details that really make images pop. So think of a droplet going into the sea. It's not the droplet that makes the picture. It's the waves around the droplet, like the air, the way it's traveling down, or when it's reaching the water, the tiny little droplets going off and the wrinkles in the water. And it's these fine details. So you create post after post after post about the fine details of this, rather than going into the broad overview of graphic design, because it's too broad. It's not focused enough yet. Your channel isn't there when you first get started. So if you're a business owner, you focus on one of your services and how that service, what is the outcome for your prospect of that service? And one of the things I say in my mentorship program, when I train people on short form video, is you start off with the problem. Sorry, my camera's about to move. I've got an AI camera when I use hand gestures. But you start off with the problem, you give them the solution, you tell them the solution, but then this is where at this stage it's still a win-lose situation. It's a win for the prospect because they get some free information, but it's a lose situation for you because you haven't directed them anywhere. So you've got the solution, you've got the you've got the problem, the solution, but there's a third thing, and that third thing is called the capture. And that's where you say, if you want me to show you how to do this, go to this website. And then you send them to your resource page. But businesses will still struggle with that because their resource page is a big, broad website with loads of shiny buttons and objects to click on. So instead of sending them to a broad website, you take a single page on that website, you remove the menu icons and all your social media stuff, and you only give the prospect one thing they can do, which is book an appointment, enter an email, or do the exact thing that you want them to do. And you remove anything that can distract them or take them away. And the way to do that is you pick up your phone and you record yourself talking for 30 seconds. That's it. It's as
For-
simple as that.
So it's definitely a lot more watered down, I think, like, or maybe that's not the right term, but it's a lot simpler and very, like, to the point than I think a lot about what people think it is, right?
Yeah, because you get a lot in the nicest way possible. You can go to YouTube and there's a ton of amazing advice on YouTube, but it's the fine details that really matter. And that's where YouTube lacks. That's where all the free content lacks, because you get to a point where it's like, okay, I can put in da 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 da, but how do I actually get from there to here? What's the complete picture? And that's what a lot of free content misses out on. I've done like over 1,000 videos online across numerous different networks. I'm a one-man band, yet my channel, I think in the past 7 days, just on TikTok, I've reached like 150,000 people, which is absolutely mad. I don't outsource anything, and I literally spend 90 seconds a day creating a single video. I don't spam it with loads of stuff. I've gone through like
The
the hard
spamming
work.
phase. I'm sorry, I thought you meant you had gone through like the spamming phase.
Yeah, I used to do spamming. I used to set up automations and spam that way. But it's not what these platforms want. What they want is content that actually serves a purpose. Um, and when you learn that there's very specific formulas on how to do that. But it really is simple. Just think of it from what sort of content do you respond to? Um, d- and yeah, and I think a lot of business owners are also scared of the idea of giving away some style free information. But the reality of it is that in the eyes of the customer, first of all, because it's so impersonal being online, if you are providing a ton of value for free to the prospect, can you imagine what they're going to think when you show them something that they can buy from you and how much value is going to be behind the scenes there?
Yeah,
And
like they were
yeah,
definitely going to be more inclined to purchase from something that they already know is worth purchasing.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the general idea. But you've got to lead them to where you want them to go. Otherwise, you can give them a ton of value, but if they don't know where to go after that, and it's not a clear A to B to C, you've lost them, and it's a shame when that happens.
I think it's really interesting that you mentioned how in order to sort of retain that person's interest, you have to keep things very simple, like one instruction, one
Mhm.
thing to do, one aspect of your product, right? And it reminds me of, I think when I started working, like my first job ever, um, I didn't realize how much work or thought it took to write an email to someone, right? And my coworker who saw me being like, like this really young girl, she's just fresh out of college, whatever, he told me like, when you write an email, just make sure that what you're writing is really simple. And I like it doesn't matter who you're writing the email to, always think of that person as stupid or slow or dumb. And I thought that was so rude. I was like, why would I like assume that everybody's dumb?
You're meant to
And
talk to them like they're grade eights. You're meant to
yeah.
talk to people like grade eight. And it's not that the person's dumb. It's just most people, we're living in a world of overload of information. So most people scan things and they don't have time to truly absorb the knowledge.
Yeah.
So clarity sells. And if you ever try to do anything other than provide clarity, if you try to be funny or smart or cute or anything of those lines, it won't work, because especially with business owners, time is money. And with small business owners, they don't, a lot of small business owners are only sometimes business owners because they can't find a job. So by necessity, they need to
Mhm.
start a business to pay the bills. Other small business owners are are juggling the entire business on their shoulders. They do everything from admin, marketing, product creation, even serving the actual product, because they don't have huge budgets for big teams, or they don't know how to get there. So clarity is absolutely key, and simplicity will always sell. And if you look at like clothing and stuff like that, two biggest colors on earth are black and white.
Right. Yeah, I swear, like the simplest things are always kind of like the permanent ones, while the more, like that dress that I bought with a bunch of ponies on it was cool back in 2020, and now it's like buried in my closet.
Yeah. And that is perfect. Like when I know we talk about video, but you go to, hopefully your viewers are listening to these tips, and they'll go to their website, for example, and see just how many things and how cluttered their website now is. You're much better just saying, I will do this for you. This is what you will get. This is what you can expect afterwards. And there you go.
Yeah. And I think it's very interesting what you said, because I also think there's a big distinction to be made with small business and kind of big corporations and how they do their socials, because I've seen a lot of smaller business owners who see the success of big companies like Wendy's or Duolingo
Mhm.
or, Coke, and like these really big social media, these really big companies that are doing really well on social media. And they want to sort of copy that. But I
Mm,
think it's
they
important.
can't.
You can't, because you're not Coke. You're
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And it's also important. It's funny actually you bring this topic up, because I think I've been listening to an audiobook about marketing, and one of the things they said was, Coke and all these companies, they started off where you were. So what they're doing now wasn't what they were doing when
You
you
were
were,
surprised, yeah.
and it's funny. Last March, I won this affiliate competition, and it got me. I was flown out to Bali to give a talk at this mastermind, and the average company there, much bigger than I was, were turning over like 20 mil a year, sort of thing. And I was like, wow. And each one of us, we gave a little talk and what's not. And afterwards, we're all sitting around the table, just having nice chat. We all stayed in a villa. It was a really nice thing. And one of the people who attended, she must have, I think she spent like $11,000 to attend the mastermind, which was crazy. But the owner of the person who flew me out of the mastermind, uh, uh, he was giving all this advice to this person. She was a breathing coach, I think it was. And I was listening. I was just thinking, oh, this is really good advice. But she was getting a bit wound up with the situation because, well, I wasn't sure at that point in time. And there was a disconnect between him and her. So, because he enjoyed my talk on short form or traffic generation, the mastermind, he was like, Marty, well, do you have any advice for her? So I asked her a few questions, and it turns out she's just a one person band. She's doing well in her business, but she's not hired or anything on those lines. A completely different process. So, um, so I said to her, oh, so this means you're doing everything yourself. Do you outsource? Do you have a VA? She was like, no, no, no. So I said, okay, well, in fact, just do this. Focus on these style posts and do that over and over and over. She said, well, how many times? So I said, well, as many times as it takes, but start off with 100 times and see what happens. And he was like, afterwards, he took me to the side. And he was like, that was some really good advice that you gave her. Why did she respond to you so much better than me? So I said, because you spend like 100 grand a month on paid advertising with a department of 80 plus members, whereas she can't afford anything near that.
Yeah, like she can barely, she's probably making the posts in her bed at night before she goes to sleep,
Yeah,
desperate to get that
exactly.
done because she had a really busy day. Yeah. And I think that's like what you said is it's huge because I think that distinction sometimes gets missed. We see big corporations sort of handling their social media in a very different way. I've noticed there's a trend growing of like memes, and companies wanting to
I
sort of
hate meme marketing. Absolutely hate it. And I see so many business owners doing meme marketing, and then they're like, "Oh, it's really good. I got a surge of views and followers, but no one's buying my stuff." And I'm like,
yeah.
"Yeah, because that's not what meme marketing is for."
Meme like, because I think, like, memes and, like, meme marketing in this kinda, like, jokey way, like, I don't know if you've seen, like, Ryanair's TikTok that's, like, really rude to people,
Mm,
and they're always kinda, like, sort of enjoying the fact that they're, like, a bad airline or something,
mhm.
and, I think what is the difference, at least for me, is that these companies are already very famous. Everybody knows about this airline,
Yeah,
everybody
they
knows
already know
about.
the airline is
Yeah,
not a
it's
great
more
airline.
just to give you
Yeah,
visibility and more for you to, like, keep this airline in your mind so that
yeah,
when you wanna get a cheap flight, you're like, "Oh, yeah, Ryanair."
Ryanair.
Yeah,
And they're also setting expectations as well, which is kind
yeah,
of genius marketing in a way, because it's like, well, it's playing on the you get what you pay for sort of thing. So by
yeah.
saying that, well, we're not a great airline, but we're really cheap.
So, like, stop asking us
Yeah,
for us to be like, don't complain, right? So
yeah,
that the complaints are not there, and I think but that's different because they're already big, they're not trying to get their name out there, they're not trying to get customers, they already have obviously, anybody who needs a cheap flight is going to use Ryanair.
yeah,
The same thing goes for other big corporations and who use their social media in this sort of, like, more silly way because they're just trying to get exposure and, I guess, for people to remember them
mm,
on a day-to-day basis, because it's true, like, I think I've seen, like, maybe a TikTok from Duolingo that makes me think, "Oh, I should probably do my Duolingo," or,
mm,
I'll see, like, a funny meme from some brand, and then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, now I'm craving McDonald's," or whatever
mhm.
it is, but a small business is
No, they
trying
do
to.
not have that impact.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's very sad. Like, don't get me wrong, there are some a lot of it, if you do want to go down that road, I mean, when Prime was becoming massive, you had that that shop. It's just a local corner shop, something Wines.
oh, yeah.
And
Uh,
they did a fantastic
that's
thing. I mean,
true.
it was so, and in the most beautiful way, the
Yeah.
most amateur-based sort of videos, which I absolutely loved. And they basically use the psychology of a catchy little phrase, a really amateur-based shock value, and then they went off the basis of Prime drinks when they were charging like $100 plus per bottle, which was just absolutely mad. Um, but it really worked for them, and it made them so gimmicky in a sense that people just wanted to go to the shop for the sake of it, and that
Yeah.
really worked for them until they got their account banned. But yeah.
I think the difference with Prime, though, is that there's influencers behind it, there's very popular influencers behind it. So what happens is that when also you are starting a business from the point where you are already a popular person, it's gonna be really different because you're gonna have like a following, opposed to like I think a lot of people who are just genuinely, your average Joe who's just trying to sell their cakes or whatever.
Well, this is where short form video comes into it, because with short form video, uh, due to the nature of how it all works, followings are not needed. You don't need a following, which is why it's so attractive for small businesses. you can literally post a video and go viral overnight because that's the
Mhm.
nature of short form video. So it instant exposure at costing you nothing. And the nature of content, the way it's changing right now is more amateur authentic based videos are just blowing up like crazy. Hence why my channels are doing well, part of why it's going so well. But so many amateur based videos that are done from a phone are just are blowing up because authenticity is what people are craving right now due to the AI wave. People aren't stupid. We know we're being manipulated by Mr. Beast,
Yes.
style content. That's what I'm going to call it. Or, you know, if you look at Gary V is 50-50 manipulation and really good authentic content. He just merges the two really, really well. So if you look at most of Gary Vee's content, it's all super authentic. Get out there, go do it, this, that, everything that everyone wants to hear. But he's still doing all the shiny, glossy style videos that businesses can't do in terms of the editing side of it. But it doesn't need to be edited like that.
I think also because we're coming from an era where there was a lot of like very curated content, especially when YouTube sort of started to get big and it became like, to make a YouTube video, you had to like do a bunch of editing and planning and filming and stuff. And now like that sort of wave has died down and we're sort of returning to this more relaxed side, even in, like, normal content, right? Because like, I think there's, like, a way for just, like, random Instagram posts for them to be, like, photo dumps instead of, this picture where you're posing and looking, like, really
Yes.
great. Yeah.
The duck face, I call it. I call it the duck face.
Yes, no, I think it's, like, interesting because it's a cycle, and I'm pretty sure in the future, there might be a new wave of, very, very produced and very glossy.
It cycles. But right now, the era that we're living in, or we're entering in, is authentic, everyday people. Where you've got the old man with the long beard, can barely hold the camera. It's shaking, yet he's giving some cool little tips or tricks, and it's those sort of videos that are just going
They're
viral.
doing really yeah, they're doing really well, and I think it's really because there's that crave for authenticity, and like you said, I think that when you're starting social media, with whatever purpose it is, if you have a goal in mind, it's gonna be a lot easier than if you're just trying to copy someone else's success, or if you are trying to sort of emulate what you have seen somewhere else, or if you're just posting for the sake of it without an actual goal.
Yeah, very much so.
Like what you brought up is really important of having a goal is not necessarily like get 1,000,000 followers. It's like what are you gonna do with 1,000,000 followers?
Well, that's exactly it, and it's funny. I've had like if you go to YouTube, for example, and you type in how to write essays with ChatGPT, it's hugely competitive video or keyword, but my video is like number one for that. Yet, apart from AdSense, it's actually earned me very little money, that video, where I've posted another video of something slightly different. It's had like 100 views and it's generated me like 3-4 sales. Sorry, I think your camera's frozen. I don't know if I've frozen. Can you still hear me? Have I
Hello?
frozen or have you frozen?
Oh,
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's okay. I wasn't sure if that was yours or mine. I think we're having some connection issues. I'll just sit here and look pretty and drink my tea until the connection's reinstated.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, sorry. My Wi-Fi is like not doing well.
Sure.
But maybe we can I think we should wrap it up because I don't know if it's gonna go away again.
Sure.
Yeah. But so I'm just gonna I'm gonna ask to cut this off, and then I'm just gonna ask you for an outro, and then we can leave because
No
it's
problem.
gonna it's wonky thing. Okay. Marty, been great talking to you. And everything that you told us about short form, about using social media for your business is really interesting. For any of our listeners who want to get your advice, who want to learn more about you, who want to maybe use your services, where can they find you?
Just type in my name, martyenglander.com, and or just type in Marty Englander on Google, YouTube, and you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be adding all of your links as well so that people can go in, they can see what your content is all about and have a little bit of a look. I think we have a lot of business owners who want to learn more about social media, short form content, and this is going to be great for them. So thank you for coming today for the show. We really appreciate it. It's
Thank
been
you for
great.
having
It's
me.
been really fun having you. All right.
Bye now.
All right, guys. So we'll see you for the next episode and tune in. Have a good day, everyone.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.